with the NBA bubble out the way, who will rise and take the NBA championship on a neutral floor? Davidson and Dentarius discuss that tonight here on Fast Break, and you're welcome to join us. And join us as you shall here on IE Sports Radio. Here for another episode of Fast Break. Here on August the 16th of 2020. D-Lock, how you doing tonight, sir?
Everything is good, man. Very exciting way to close out the season as we seen yesterday. So I'm excited, man, for the playoffs, man. What about you?
I'm excited as well. You know, this bubble, when everything came down, D-Lock, and the shutdowns happened and NBA abruptly stopped, you know, we didn't know how things going to shake out for the league. And credit to them, they pulled it off pretty well. You know.
Yeah, they definitely did. I was expecting maybe, I ain't gonna lie, I was thinking there was gonna be a little bit more issues, maybe a couple of testing issues, but the biggest story really is what Lou Williams did. And
Yeah.
ever since then, we didn't hear really too much, any problems or anything like that.
No, and you know, Lou Williams having I don't say lapse of judgment, but other than him, then everything is easy breezy, for the league. They test every day. They take care of these guys. If something happens, they isolate them. With today's news, Mike Conley, celebrate the birth of his child. He left the bubble to go up to Columbus.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure when he gets back, he'll be tested multiple times and feel safe in the bubble again.
Right.
And, the performances of these players, them going all out and playing tough, kind of get back in the grind of things. It was a great thing to see. And, when the sport says ending and the void is empty in the major sports, the NBA picked the mantle and did a great job.
Very good.
And one of those lasting games of the NBA bubble, D-Lock, was the Grizzlies and the Trail Blazers for the final play-in for the 8th seed. D-Lock, what are your thoughts on the game? Do you thought the Grizzlies had a chance, or you thought the Blazers is going to have another big performance today? What were your overall thoughts of the game yesterday afternoon?
Well, I mean, it was a hell of a game. I think you could tell both teams were fighting for a spot in the playoffs to play the Lakers the first round.
Yeah.
But I mean, they both had great runs. You can tell. I think at one point, Trailblazers were up by like 10, and then next thing you know, Memphis are up like by 6. So they were going back and forth for a while. The name that stick out was Nurkic. I think his grandmother just passed earlier that day because of the corona. He had a hell of a game. He was doing everything. He was shooting threes. I think he had over 15 rebounds.
Yeah, 21.
So, yeah. So it was a great game. I've been saying for the longest that the Trailblazers are one of the teams that I feel like are built to compete with the Lakers outside of the obvious Clippers. And I have another team that we'll discuss later that I think that can compete with these LA teams as well. But the Trailblazers, they close it out. I mean, Dame did what was expected of him. He played pretty good, but CJ McCollum had a great game as well. I'm pretty sure a lot of people seen him talking about or mouthing that John Morant can't cover him or can't guard him, which is I think is a true statement at the moment. But the problem that I have with CJ McCollum is he shows up every now and then. This is one of the games that he had that he went crazy, but we don't see that we won't see it again until 4 or 5 games. If he is consistent against the Lakers, then there might be a very good series that we will be seeing coming up. But overall, the game was hard fought. I think it really showed us what we will see in the future with the Grizzlies. I don't see them as their team is pretty good with Dylan Brooks, John Morant, Valanciunas is there. Kyle Anderson isn't bad, but I think they need to draft another 4 because he's more of a defensive player. Wouldn't hurt to add another piece in that power forward position or small forward. But they do have Justice Winslow who's going to come back healthy next year as well. So it was a really good game, and the Grizzlies are going to be pretty good in the future for a while. So I would expect for them to be a team that will compete for a playoff spot, for years and years to come. The biggest spotlight, however, is the fact that the Suns went undefeated and didn't get a chance.
Yeah, and for the Suns, we get invited to this bubble and you're at a disadvantage record-wise. You got to hope a lot of breaks go your way. And for them, D-Lock, it's they did everything. I mean, they went undefeated, 8-0. Devin Booker played out of his mind. Cameron Payne, well, guys hanging by a thread, surviving in the NBA has gotten life, through these bubble games. But, credit to them going 8-0, but it's just, I just kind of hate that, and we talked this before we got on the air, I kind of hate that they didn't get a chance to fight for the AC, in which the Blazers and Grizzlies, had some losses to them in this bubble series. So
yeah, I mean that's the part that I guess a lot of people who will regularly see is that this team was one of the teams that are on fire, playing very good, and they don't make it. They don't get the fair shot, as Portland did and as Memphis. But we knew that all these teams knew this going inside bubble. So yeah, I mean it sucks, but a little bit more motivation for next year. But again, this is a season without the Warriors being who they are. So I think the West is going to be a lot more stronger next year.
Yeah, and the West is going to be a lot stronger. Golden State, they'll be healthy, and I think they'll be coming back with a vengeance next year. Whoever they draft for their top pick, along with Curry back healthy, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins in the fold, Draymond Green. I think they will come back with a vengeance, next year. So the West, if you're Phoenix, hey, you take, this experience, with Booker as your primary scorer, Ayton coming to his own. He just got to stay away from those PEDs. Mikal Bridges, like I said, I mentioned Cameron Payne, Dario Saric, another nice piece off the bench. So, and Rookie Rubio too. So, I think he just need another year to gel. Am I wrong on that?
No, I mean I think that another year, with this roster that they have is going to be a good thing for them, especially with Kelly Oubre coming back as well.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
They're deep. And there's this thought that I always have with one of my best friends. Like we always talk about, how this team in any sport, especially talk about the NFL basketball. Yeah, this team this deep. They got this player, that player. They're pretty deep. I was just telling you about how the Cowboys got all these people on the D line. But the thing about all this is only one team can win a title. So as deep as they are, so are other teams. So I think that next year they're gonna, this is a good experience for them because in a sense, under pressure, they executed perfectly. They did everything they were supposed to under pressure. They knew that they had to go undefeated and have a chance. To have a chance, it's just that thing that they could not control didn't go their way. So moving forward next year, now as soon as the season starts, these games are this crucial to where you have to grab these wins early. You don't want to be in a position where you're fighting for the A seed again. So I think next year they'll be a lot better. They probably, they may grab maybe another guard, I would think. They're not too deep there. Kobo is not really I don't know if he's going to be there too long. You have Rubio, Cameron Payne, Devin Booker. So Bridges is a forward for them, plays a 3 for them, great. Cameron Johnson is pretty solid. They're pretty good with their bigs. So I could see them maybe drafting the guard just to help with that rotation and go from there. But the piece that they got is great to me. And then don't forget they got Frank the Tank over there, Frank Kaminsky. And, he's an amazing player as well. So, yeah, they got a few pieces. This is not the old Suns that we've heard about in the past.
Yeah, and you just build up momentum for next year. You got a great head coach, Monty Williams. I think, like you mentioned, I think you tweak the roster a little bit, and then you just go from there. And for next year, you got to come out the gate stronger than you did earlier this season. Now, granted, yes, DeAndre Ayton didn't play the first 20 games, but still, you kind of know what you are, who you have. So next year, come out stronger.
Right.
And then, with Memphis, kind of in the same boat with them. A lot of back and forth in that game. And, John Morant played excellent. Granted, they did miss Jaren Jackson, but it's just like, I think, like you mentioned, Justin Winslow coming back next year. We'll see how he looks with this team. But I feel like, I don't know. I think they're in something about Phoenix. They need this another year to jail. I think Dylan Brooks is a solid scorer on that 2-guard spot. Grayson Allen, who picked up that silly technical that didn't really help things because, to lose by 4 and you kind of put yourself at a disadvantage. It's like, you got to control your emotions better. And
yeah, because when you lose by 2 points or 3 points or 4 points, at first when you get those technical fouls and stuff like that, you don't think too much of it, I guess. But when you lose by 3 or 4, it's like, well, damn, like we didn't have a technical foul and we shoot a 3 and we're tied up.
Or the strategy of the game changes.
Yeah.
So, for the Grizzlies, I guess, time will tell how the roster will shape out. They got a real Jim and Brandon Clark as well. And he had 20 points in that game, went 4 or 5 for 3 against the Blazers. So, him and Jaren Jackson are kind of similar players. They're both inside out. You wish they kind of rebound better for their size, but the potential is there with this group with the Grizzlies.
Yeah, very young too.
Very young, very young. And which leads us to the Trailblazers. and we're going to preview the first round here. The Blazers and Lakers. D-Lock, as a Laker fan, I'm nervous.
Yeah, sound like Shannon Sharp, yeah.
I'm nervous in the sense that I tweeted out from the Fast Break account. If you're not following us on the Fast Break account, please do. I tweeted out, the Grizzlies is one of the teams that kind of didn't benefit from the shutdown. Because if the season kind of kept going, I think they probably will make the playoffs. Maybe Portland came in behind them, but who knows? Another team that kind of didn't benefit from the shutdown is the Los Angeles Lakers. They were kind of rolling. They were kind of finding their groove offensively and stuff like that. Rotation rise and all that. They get to the bubble. They lose to Avery Bradley. And then you sign J.R. Smith. You already had Dion Waiters in the fold, but he ain't played yet. Then you signed Marcus Morris. But it seemed like with the Lakers, they haven't found that right lineup to figure out their woes.
Right. So it seems like right now they're trying to find that combination. And I think what is hurting is they were expecting not for JR to be in the big three, but they were expecting more than what he's giving them. Right? We haven't really seen JR in this bubble. So Dion Waiters is not playing bad, but I believe he can do more of an impact. We're really seeing how big the missing piece of Avery Bradley is. I mean, I guess you can say a lot of. You can tell me if this is true, but what you feel about it as far as Laker fans. But I feel like he was taken for granted at first because he's not putting up the big numbers, but his defense is there. Like his defensive impact is there. Also with Rondo out. And now that these two are gone, even though they're not putting up the big numbers of points that we see or making these huge plays, those smaller plays that help the Lakers move forward with their defense is not there anymore. So now you're kind of seeing that kind of show it's being revealed. So, I mean, I understand the part of being a little nervous because, like I said before, dude, if CJ McCollum can be consistent through this series, you have a very good series that we're going to see. Very good series. If I'm I keep forgetting the coach's name, Terry Scott, right?
Yes.
Terry. If I'm him, if I'm Terry Scott, I'm starting Whiteside and Nurkic in my lineup every game. And the reason why is because you have two Twin Towers up there, down there. Then you have all the shooters that you need, and Dame, CJ, and Melo. So the problem with Portland is they don't play any defense. They can score. We know that. Their problem is they don't play any defense, and I think that's the advantage that the Lakers would take part of because, yeah, they can score these points, but if CJ goes off, if CJ's not consistent, if Dame has a bad night or one of these or Melo is not shooting well, I think the Lakers take over that. Because to be honest, like I said, the best way to stop AD from grabbing a lot of stuff is to start both of your big men. You still got Zach Collins. You move him to the bench. He's gonna. I would play him I would replace Nurkic with him on the bench or have him come in for him and play that way. But right now, I don't see anybody stopping AD. Danny Green is a playoff player, so even though we haven't seen too much of him yet, I think he's going to show his face starting this series. And the thing about it is, obviously, you got LeBron, and LeBron is, once he get in that playoff mode, he's not going to be the only one that's going to be there. I think that he's going to have a couple other players, come along with him with the chemistry. We did see that Denver Nuggets game And even though Denver pulled their players out, LeBron and Kuzma were still out there. They're working on chemistry with these other guys. Caruso, Always all these other guys, they're getting them in the fold, getting them in rotation, get this chemistry right, because come playoff time, he's going to need to have this chemistry with these guys. Not just a chemistry with AD, not just a chemistry with Dwight Howard. He's going to need all these guards and all these other players to have that great chemistry, because Trailblazers is not they're not bad at all. They have one of the most talented rosters to me. So, I think it's going to be a very interesting series. Another reason why is there's no home court technically advantage.
Mm-mm.
Nobody's flying from Portland in LA every 2 games. So usually when you have that, crowd backing you up and you're in your backyard making these shots and there's nothing to you, now both teams are just sitting at the same court in the same city. So the home court advantage part, I think, is taken away. And I think that's going to make a huge effect as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for me in this matchup, you hit all the key points, and the key thing is the role players. Well, one of the key things is the role players. Danny Green, Kuzma, are the main ones. Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, especially got to come up big in this series against, going against the trio bigs of the Blazers. So that's another thing to kind of watch out for, how the Frank Vogel's going to split time between Howard and McGee at the 5 spot. Or, does he have to play Anthony Davis more at the 5, trying to get more of a mismatch in favor for LeBron to go against, maybe if they have Zach Collins out there, or going against Melo. Because, Melo at this age ain't the world's best defender. But, my thing is the role players. Can Danny Green hit his shots we need to when he's wide open? Can Dion Waiters, when he comes, if he comes in, not trying to shoot the Lakers out the game in his limited opportunity? Can Marcus Morris keep a cool head? Can Kuzma, take the confidence he made a great game-winning shot against Denver and kind of put that
bring it with him? Yeah,
bring it with him. That's one of my concerns if I'm a Laker fan. The other one, Anthony Davis. At times he looked good. Other times it kind of looks, I don't know. It just kind of looks shaky the times he played against other teams. And I think for the Lakers to win the championship, he's got to become that dude. Everybody talks about, AD. Everybody talks about AD, being that dude, being that guy. Well, it's going to come to form now. You play for the Lakers.
Yeah.
You got to come. You got to come with it now, big boy.
Yeah, I mean, now the playoffs is what everybody is, looking for. This is where you make your name. This is where the moments get pretty big. So this is the chance to put your name in the lights, or put your name, because you're wearing the purple and gold, dude. Like, winning, having a great season great regular season is not what they're all about. Just what they're all about, So I think that he will show up. Again, to be honest, dude, like, LeBron finds a way but if he wins the title this year with the bunch that he have. I know he has AD, but he has to be in consideration talks as the greatest ever, because there are a few pieces there that he's gonna have to fit. Like, he's gonna have to play a much bigger role. And if AD comes along with him, I think they have a very good shot. We know they're both top 5 players in the league right now. But I think that AD has a hell of a series against Portland. That's just me. Again, I don't think there's anybody on that side that can stop him.
Oh no, yeah, if he's up and doing his thing, using his size advantage and dribbling ability against these other bigs, oh yeah, it's gonna be a beautiful thing to watch. But we'll see if the Lakers can like have these days off, come in Tuesday, in their first round matchup against the Blazers, and see what they can do. What's your prediction for the series, D-Lock?
You mean like how many games it's gonna take?
Well, yeah. Who wins the series and how many games? In how many games?
I can't go against LeBron. I'm sorry. I mean, I know, listen, Trailblazer fans, I know they're hot right now. Dame is looking like one of a kind. I cannot go against LeBron. I think this game goes to 6.
Okay.
I think that the Lakers jump out, but I think that the Trailblazers come crawling back, but they close it at 6. I think LeBron and AD is just too much for Portland. Again, like I said, their problem is they don't play defense. I do see Portland having a solid series, but there's going to be a couple games where they don't shoot good. That's just flat out what it is. I mean, I think Dame is going to be Dame, but sometimes the consistency is what we're looking for with Melo and CJ McCollum. Melo does have his games; he can go hot, but it's just like I said. A lot of the times we hear, CJ McCollum. I play FanDuel a lot, and for some reason, every time I pick this dude, he doesn't play good. But the time that I don't pick him, he wants to go hot. So I think that it does go to 6. I think Danny Green is going to play a huge part on defense. I think he's going to be the missing piece that we haven't heard too much in this bubble. That's going to show his face, and not only on defense but also on offense. I think he catches fire. I think he gets the hot hand, and he will fill that role that they need. And like I said, the fact that it is in Orlando, I think that's going to help the Trailblazers win at least 2 games.
I'm going to be bold here. I think the Lakers will win in 7. I think Lillard will give this team some headaches. I think, with the real showing of Gary Trent Jr., I think he'll win a couple games. I'll help them win a couple games with his scoring. I get the Lakers in 7. I think the Lakers will play off in 7. I think Portland's size issue will kind of be issue with the Lakers. But I think, LeBron and company will kind of come strong at Game 7 and kind of pull it off. I think Dame, I don't know, he got so much aggression right now with the comments, him and Skip Bayless and, the thing with him, Pat Beverly and Paul George, and then, his sister, talking about Paul George's woman and all that stuff. Just like a lot of things right there. But I think the Lakers will pull it off in 7.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all. If he gets to 7, I think the Lakers lose confidence.
And that's the thing to watch out for. The Lakers probably thinking like, damn, we should put this team away a while back, but they still hanging around. And, the right sound pieces from the media may push a one Damian Lillard over the edge. But, in staying in the West Conference, D-Lock, you got your 2-7 matchup, the Clippers and Mavericks. The Clippers, are kind of getting back in full strength. They look pretty good at times. And, against the Mavericks, you got Luka Doncic playing out of his mind. How you see that series going? What do you expect coming out of this series, the Clippers and Mavericks?
Well, I'm mad at the fact that you brought that up first because I know I got a surprise. that matchup first because I got a surprise for people on that one. I ain't gonna lie, dude. Like, I'm a big time Luka fan. Like, big time Luka fan. The way he's playing, like, I really love to see this guy play. He's playing out of his mind. Oh my goodness. The game, the series changer in this series for me is going to be Porzingis. He's going to be in that scenario where CJ McCollum, now he's consistent, but if he beats consistent in this series, oh my goodness. First of all, we got to see when Trez is going to come back, how many minutes he's going to get. We got to see what's going to happen with Beverly. I think he may be out. How much does Williams play? Man, it's going to be bold for me to say this, but boy, I cannot sleep on the Mavs. I like the Mavs to push the Clippers to 7.
Ooh.
Yeah. and the reason why is because, man, Luke is a hell of a player. And Carlisle, Coach Carlisle is one of the better coaches in the league. Tim Hardaway is going to play a huge part. I think he's going to be a player that's going to be underrated right now in the league or in the series. And I really like what the Mavs are doing. They're long. They're very long. Finney Smith can get hot from time. Not too much liking any other guards out on their team besides Luka. And Tim Hardaway, obviously, they pushed it to the 3. I like Finney Smith, Kleber. I like these guys to give the Clippers some issues. The reason why I say that also with the Clippers going to 7 is because we have yet seen Paul George be the same player in regular season in the playoffs. Like, he doesn't look the same. I know that's, like I said, I got the reaction you gave me is what I expect. I'm pretty sure everybody else is listening is probably saying the same thing. But I do have them pushing them to 7. Now, if it gets to 7, I think this is where Kawhi takes over. I think he's just that generational player where, hey, okay, you know what? I'm about to clamp down Luka and, slow this down.
You think he can?
Do I think he can slow him down?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Talk about Luka? Yeah, see? Man, like, okay, I don't think Luka can be contained. I think that how far the Mavs go is going to be determined on Porzingis, how well he plays. If he plays well, dude, they can mess around and win this series. Seriously.
Yeah.
It may sound kind of, we have high hopes with Kawhi and Paul George, and we've heard about it all year. But I just think that if Porzingis can be the consistent player and they get to game 7, Zubac is not going to make a huge impact. Unless Trez is fully back to who he is, I think he'll be the X factor. But, dude, the Mavs are long, and they have the big man shooters. The Clippers struggle against big men. So, yeah, that's the shocker. I wanted to leave that to later on, but you see now.
For me in the series, I think the interesting matchup will be between Luka and Kawhi and their matchups, and also him and Paul George. That back and forth. Luka offense and Paul George and Kawhi Leonard taking turns guarding Luka. Pat Beverly. Who knows when he'll be back to be in the series. So you missed that defensive piece right there. Also with Landry Shamet being out as well. Is like, for me, for Dallas, you match up Porzingis. If he plays well and, continue to average the points he has averaged in this bubble, I think, Dallas can push this Clipper team or hopefully catch them sleeping. Another thing, for the Clipper side, Montrezl Harrell. Will he, come back and bring his great energy, down low against the Mavericks bigs, and then kind of like in crunch time situations, maybe guarding Porzingis, and will his energy and hustle, overwork Porzingis in certain situations?
Yeah.
But, this is the interesting matchup to me. It's like, can Luka, who seems like he can get triple doubles walking to sleep, can he pull this off in this series against this Clipper team?
Yeah, I mean, do you like the last time they played? They gave him some fits.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, like, I can't just say, okay, well, yeah, the Clippers are gonna, go ahead and walk and close it out at 5 or close it out at 4. I don't see that. And another thing I keep mentioning, and I'll mention with every series, is there is no home court advantage. We have to remember that. So you are going to the same court that you've been going to for the past month. And there's no fans there. So a lot of these players who, we know to freeze up, when the moment is there, the moment is not as big with fans not there, or it doesn't feel as big, shall I say. We know that it's a game 7, and the pressure's on the line. But if you don't have any fans yelling or anything, they're taking free throws. They're taking free throw shots with nobody literally nobody else there except the people that's on the court. So I'm pretty sure that if you brought Shaq into the bubble and he was at the free throw line, I guarantee you he'll make a little bit more free throws than he made while he was, with the fans there. So I think that plays a huge part. And, man, and the X factor also that makes the Mavs so, for me to really say that they really have a chance is their coach.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's been there. Like, we know what Rick Carlisle has done. So, to me, I can't just give it to the Clippers. And it's not that I have anything against him. I think Kawhi is an underrated player. I think he's better than what people think. But I just think that in this, man, the Mavs they're a sleeper team, and they're long, and they have the role players that play a huge part.
Yeah, if I got to give a prediction on the series, we're kind of moving along here. Give me the Clippers in 6. I think the Mavericks will get a couple games in, partly due to Luka's stat line, but I think the Clippers, they'll pull off in 6 games. What about you?
I mean, I got it in 7, man. There's no way. There's no way I can make it to 6. I mean, right now, I don't think Luka lets them close it out even when they're up the game. I just don't. I think he's too talented. I think his mentality is one of a kind. And I think he knows, him. I think he has a huge impact on that team. And I think he'll do anything to win. I think it gets to 7. And it gets to 7. Now, I think Kawhi just, closes it out. I think the talent, now I think Trez is who he is. I think Beverly probably is going to be healthy. Now the depth of the team kind of takes over. The little bit more rest that these players get is going to play a huge impact.
So you got Clippers in 7, right?
Yep.
All right.
Even though that was tough. That was very tough. Very tough.
So another interesting matchup in the Western Conference, the Thunder and the Rockets. how do you see how do you see that matchup going, D-Lock? Because
Go ahead.
a lot of variables in that matchup. Chris Paul going against his old team that if he wasn't injured, possibly would have made the NBA Finals a couple years ago. You get traded to OKC. Now, you're there with this young team. God knows what they're going to do with you because they just traded the Everstar player for a whole bunch of picks. Get there, and now you're, top 5 in the West. And you got a nice young stud right next to you. If I got to make a bold position in this series, give me the OKC Thunder in 6.
Think so?
I think so. I think one factor that's got to be considered: Steven Adams, a guy that can run up and down the court and don't have to ask the ball for a lot and get his points mainly down low. And I admire Robert Covington and PJ Tucker's toughness down low and willing to sacrifice their body to go against bigger guys. But I just think, I don't want to say too much for him, but I think, Steven Adams, he might have a very, very good series against the side against the like size for Houston. I may be wrong, but the way Chris Paul has been playing, who should at least get some EVP consideration with the way he led this team. But I know James Harden can score, but I just think Chris Paul is going to lead this team and will this team and get some vengeance on Houston and lead this team to win. At least 6 or 7. I'm going to go with 6 here. What about you?
Well, you do got Russ also. They're going to play a part. We got to see when he's going to come back. I think that this series is probably going to be the most exciting series just because you got, Chris Paul against his former team, James Harden against the Thunder, Russ against his former team. Like, this would have been one of those series that I would love to see, fly from Houston to OKC back and forth. This is one of the games that, this is one of the series that I would love to see that because now you have that game 4, game 5 where Russ is going back to Houston, OKC where he can close it out, stuff like that, which is what we will miss. But I agree with you with the Steven Adams thing. I think he does dominate this series. Him and Nerlens Noel, I think they get anything they want. The missing piece for me is Gallinari. Like I have to see how consistent he can be against this team. Chris Paul is going to be Chris Paul, but it's just the fact that the role players have to, play a great part as well. SGA is going to be SGA. I think he's going to show up. Did we find out if Dennis Schroeder was coming back?
I haven't. I'm looking now to see. I haven't seen anything about Dennis, but that's
because he's going to play a huge part as well.
And that's another guy you can throw defensively at James Harden,
right?
Because me with Russ is like he can show. I mean, yeah, he'll get his stats and stuff like that, but how calculating Chris Paul can be at times is like, can you shoot? Can you, I don't know, shoot the ball better? Like, take better shots. Play, smarter at times. Is will Chris Paul trying to take advantage of that? It's like,
yeah.
Harden will get his. It's just like sometimes the ball stops with him, and you kind of wish the ball move would be a little bit better with him. But I don't know. It's just like, I could be wrong. Like Harden they could come out like game busters and beat this team in 5. But I just see OKC just coming out on top. I just don't know why.
Because of what they've done so far, and they can stick with every team. And another thing I think that also you're thinking I am as well is the big man. Like Steven Adams is going to kill them. This is going to be the first test, obviously, in the playoffs where they're playing a team that have a big man and they don't. We're going to see what PJ Tucker can do. You think about it, ever since Clint Capella has been traded, we have not heard that much from PJ Tucker. So, Daniel House is not bad. I think he's a great role player. I don't even see Nene getting off the bench for nothing. Or I'm sorry, not Nene, Tyson Chandler.
Oh, no.
So, yeah, right now he's just collecting the check. So, at this moment, like, I don't see James Harden willingly or just taking the Rockets past the Thunder either. Now this series, I kind of can see them sweeping them or beating them in 5. I mean, I know that James Harden is who he is, but I think this is where that hand really shows when you have two guards who try to take over one half and the other half, and you don't have a center. This is where that's going to show, where we're going to see if that works. And I don't think that it works against this team because SGA is a very good player. Schroeder is going to be another body, like you said, to throw it hard, and Russ and Chris Paul is going to be Chris Paul. So, not to mention when it's time to rotate some of their guys in, Nerlens Noel is going to come in and dominate. Now, Covington can play very well, but I don't know if he can stay out of foul trouble down there with Steven Adams and Gallinari. So they're pretty much their roster is pretty set and pretty deep. I think they have a better roster than the Rockets. But that missing piece of that big man, I think we definitely see that this series.
So who you got in this series?
I have the Thunder in 5.
Okay. So both of us going with the Thunder. It's be really interesting to see how this plays out. And one thing that's kind of sucks about this bubble, like you mentioned, Russ not going back to OKC and handling that crowd. And see how that crowd reacts to him. And that's kind of like in these playoff games in the bubble, the home court or how the home team treats the opposing players. And this is like kind of the interesting ones to watch, see how how the OKC fans react to Russ coming back in this playoff in the playoffs. But for the both of us, we both go OKC with the upset here. And I don't know. I feel good about this pick. I feel good about it.
Yeah, I mean, if there was one series I had to put my money on, it would be this one on my pick, because I just don't see I don't see the Rockets beating them with just playing with Russ and James Harden. Like, somebody else is gonna have to step up, and I think that this is where Chris Paul gets his revenge, to me.
And, from going from Chris Paul's revenge against the Rockets, the Mountain Series, if you want to call that, the Jazz, Denver, this is another interesting matchup that can go either way. with Denver, we see a lot of untapped potential, so to speak. I mean, we know they're pretty good and pretty solid, but the guys they got on a roster, just a few years ago, they were like the top prospects in the country, high school wise. Michael Porter Jr. If his back wasn't hurt, for his freshman season in Missouri, he could be arguably talking about the first overall pick. Bo, he was a top recruit, and then didn't play too much at Oregon. But we kind of see the potential there in him in this NBA bubble. Jokic, we know he's legit. Jamal Murray, I know he's slowly getting back, from his injury, but we need to see a lot for him. Millsap, I don't know, D-Lock, he looked kind of, I don't want to say, I don't know, man, he just looked kind of shoddy out there at the times I've watched him play. It's like,
dude, he looks like he's like tapped out. Either he looks like he's tapped out, or he's just waiting for the playoffs to start. One or the other.
So, for them against this Utah team, for Donovan Mitchell, can he can he rise to to ascension in the league to be one of those top 10 players? In this setting here, can he rise to that ascension and kind of put his team on his back and kind of get them over the hump? With this, against this Denver team, I don't know. If I had to pick a team to win the series, give me Denver in 7. I think there'll be some games that Utah will win on some like last second defense. Because the thing about Denver, they really, I mean, they got Murray, they got Jokic, but they don't got that go-to dude to get you a bucket. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, they don't have. I guess you can say that was Will Barton at one point. He played a huge part in that. Maybe this is where we see MPJ, Michael Porter Jr., kind of take over, kind of be, what's the word I'm looking for? He kind of comes into his own. He hasn't been looking bad at all. He's actually been looking pretty great. I think that, like you say, they don't have that person that just takes over a game. Now, I believe it should be Jokic. Maybe we do see him step up and do that. But for one, they're playing against a team that are already missing a few players. This is the reason why I say Nuggets beat them at 6. The reason why is because, for one, Conley's going to be out one game, at least, maybe even more. I think that's going to hurt them. They do have Jordan Clarkson, but the fact is, Donovan Mitchell is going to have to carry the load. Ed Davis, I just seen that he's hurt, and then obviously Bogdanovich is the actual shooter. I think he's the key player on the Jazz team, if you ask me. And he's not even in the bubble. So, Jazz, they're a little different, being the fact that I'm still trying to figure out why they started Russell at the power forward position. Like that's still messing with my brain right now. For me, I'm still trying to figure out what is the purpose of that. So, now what does help the Jazz in effect is I did see that Gary Harris was out. I think he plays a huge role with the defense of the Nuggets. Torrey Craig is a solid player. I don't think he's a big defensive player like that. P.J. Dozier has been getting in, but I don't know if he's going to get too many minutes come playoff time. Millsap, again, we talked about him. If he can actually do something, then maybe they can beat him in 5. But I do have the Nuggets getting in 6, and I just think that Jokic is just too much. The problem with Gobert is he gets in foul trouble quickly. and that is not what you want when you play against Jokic because he will expose that.
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree there. And Gobert is, key for this Utah team if they want to win this series. You gotta watch yourself. I know Denver will use Jokic on the top of the key, kind of draw Gobert out of the paint because Jokic can facilitate the offense from the top of the key. We've seen that before. So for Utah, can you adjust to that? Can you rotate quick enough and not let Denver's length and athleticism with Michael Porter or Bobo when he's in the game, PJ Dozier, like you mentioned, Will Barton, and how spread out they can be. Can y'all rotate good enough to not get beat by that? And I think after a while, like you mentioned, Mike Conley, having the birth of this child, and who knows how long he's going to be out. There's a lot of factors going in, especially how Denver run his offense. It's going to be real, key for me. But like I said, I got Denver at 7. You got Denver at 6, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah, I definitely had him at 6. If Conley doesn't come back, we do. One thing I have to say, I end on that series. If Millsap shows up, I got the Nuggets at 5.
All right, fair enough. And then we'll just hop over to the East side. Bucks and Magic. D-Lock, I know you're a Magic fan. Do you see them winning one game at least against the Bucks?
Hey, listen, I hope so. Man, I'm tired of just being a team that is okay with getting in the playoffs. We talked about before. We looked good against the Wizards. Remember earlier in the bubble, we looked great against Brooklyn. But when we played the Pacers, nowhere to be seen. So, play the Raptors, same thing. So, talking to one of my best friends earlier, in order for us to have some kind of chance in this series, Vooch and Aaron Gordon have to have the games of their lives. Vooch has to dominate, which we know now seen many times that when big series comes up or big games come up, he disappears. Like last year against the Raptors. We didn't know who he was the first round against the Raptors. So, Fournier has to be consistent as well. But I have no win in one game. I'm a fan, so I'm gonna let the bias side give him one game at least.
Me, I got Milwaukee in the sweep. I think Giannis with this takeover and the injuries to the Orlando Magic, too much to overcome, and then I just got the Bucks in 4 in the sweep.
The Bucks are just what they are.
Yeah, I just think too much talent. Orlando, it's just me. I think after the season, they got to consider doing a wholesale changes because, like you mentioned, they just can't be satisfied just getting to the playoffs. And you got a lot of salary on this team that ain't producing much. Like the salary you put in for this team is not getting the results you want.
Alfred Amino has not seen the court since earlier this year. I'll say that. That's all I'm gonna say today.
And
so,
and they gave him a pretty nice, good deal.
A fat contract.
Now maybe he gets some time during this series, guarding against Giannis. Who knows?
I think he's hurt.
But yeah, he is hurt. But hey, man, you got to earn your money. But I got the Bucks in the sweep there. And moving on to Toronto and Brooklyn.
I want to hear what you say about this.
Caris LeVert, who was kind of like a shot away to putting the Portland Trailblazers out of the playoffs. Why Brooklyn didn't take a timeout to kind of get things situated, I don't know. But I got the Raptors winning this series in 5. I think Brooklyn will get one game. My thing with Brooklyn, Caris LeVert will show up. They do got Jamal Crawford, who in these moments has shined and hasn't played too much in this bubble. But I think the Raptors are a little too much. I think there's too much poise for them. I love Siakam. Love Siakam. And I think Siakam will be pretty big in the series. I think they don't got the matchup there to contain Siakam. So I got the Raptors in 5. But I think LeVert and Jamal Crawford get Brooklyn at least one game.
Well, I have the Raptors in 6. And the reason why is because Jacques Vaughn proved himself to me. I'm sorry, not just Jacques Vaughn. He was a Magic coach at one point, by the way.
Yeah.
Jacques Vaughn, Jared Allen, Caris LeVert, Carruthers, the whole Brooklyn Nets roster, the assistant coaches, everybody. They proved a lot to me playing against Portland. They are not backing down from anybody.
Yeah.
They don't care who you are. So now I'm not going to take it to a stretch and say this is going to be the biggest upset in the past 50 years and say they're going to beat the Raptors in 7. No, or 6. I think that they have that, as we call, strong man mentality, or, we don't care who we play kind of mentality. We're not backing down from anybody type mentality. I think that gets them 2 games. Now, that's going to be, tough, but seeing how they played against Portland, dude, at some point, I was thinking that, okay, Portland knows how important this game is, so they're going to, blow the doors off Brooklyn. I'm looking at the game cast, and there's plenty of times in this game where I'm seeing Brooklyn up by 7.
Yep.
Brooklyn up by 10. Brooklyn up by 4. Brooklyn is only down by 1 or 2. Caris LeVert here, Caris LeVert there. He's on fire for 2 or 3 minutes. So I like this team to fight back, big time. And I think the fight back that they bring is going to get them 2 games. Now, the reason why it is 2 games, again, there's no home court advantage. Now, if this was going to Toronto back and forth, it'd be a 5 for me. But I feel like, there'll be some games where I'm pretty sure, that game, I'm pretty sure Toronto's probably thinking okay, we need to watch out with this team. But fact is, I don't think that they slow down Caris LeVert to sweep them. I just think that they're going to show up. I honestly think Brooklyn's going to win the first game. That's what I believe. I think they're gonna punch him in the mouth, and they're not going to expect it. It's damn, this is Brooklyn. So I think they still weak game 1, and then I think Toronto goes 2-1, and then think they squeeze out the 3rd one. I think Brooklyn sees it 3-1. They grab 1 game, and then they end it 6. So the reason why is just that game against Portland was very impressive to me. Like you said, if it wasn't for not calling a timeout, maybe we're looking at the Suns and the Grizzlies playing against each other, or however it would have turned out if Portland would have lost. But I definitely was expecting Brooklyn to just not have any kind of type of competition towards Portland, and they showed me different otherwise. So I like them to give up some kind of fight in this series.
Let me ask you this about Brooklyn. Caris LeVert been kind of a budding, consistent star in the league. A guy that can get you, about 18, 20 points, when healthy throughout the course of the season. with Brooklyn, getting Kyrie and Kevin Durant healthy next year, and then the rumors are circulating they trying to look for that third star. Do you think they should go out to trying to get somebody, or they already got that person there and carries LeVert?
Yep.
In that fold?
I believe so. And the reason why is because he's shown what he's done. I mean, and let me know what you think about this starting five right now. This is what I'm thinking the starting five is going to be for them next year. Jared Allen at center. KD at 4. He's gonna be at 4. Joe Harris at 3, Caris LeVert at 2, and Kyrie at 1.
Oh,
that is. Go ahead.
Oh, that's killer right there.
Yeah. So, I think that he feels that third player in the big three. I think he'll be a third option. Now, what's so amazing about that is I think he moves up the chamber when Kyrie goes off the court. They bring in Spencer Dinwiddie. Now I think with Kyrie off, they move him up to 2 as the second player option, or however they do KD, take him off and maybe push Joe Harris down to the forward and move a few players around. But I think he's a third player for them. And the roster really isn't bad. I mean, Carus is pretty solid. You're gonna have Spencer Dinwiddie come off the bench. Like, you got a pretty good team. I mean, DeAndre Jordan is still gonna be there. Like, I believe he will be. And Garrett Temple, he's probably not gonna sit that many minutes, but I do think that he plays a part as well in that rotation. So they got the roster. The roster isn't bad. So now go out and look for a third player and pay another max deal. I don't think that'd be a good idea. I mean, obviously you want to grab another player, but the player they have right now is fine.
Yeah, I mean, for Brooklyn, I think for the series, you kind of want to see in the GM Sean Marks who you can build around for next year with KD and Kyrie, and go from there. Can LeVert be that third dude, which I think we can't. I think we see he can. But the other role players like Joe Harris, Spencer Dinwiddie, DeAndre Jordan, Jared Allen, and others, will they be enough to see in Sean Marks' eyes to stay in the fold? Well,
I think that Joe Harris. This is a side note to this series, but I think Joe Harris has a hell of a series. I really think that he's going to have a great series. Now, obviously, I don't think they're going to win. Like I said, I got him losing to 6 to the Raptors. But I do notice that sports have a great game against the Raptors. So I think that this is a series that we will see that Joe Harris is going to play a huge point up. Like, he's going to play a huge part in their team next year.
So I got the Raptors in 5. You got the Raptors in 6.
Yep.
Moving to the 3-6 matchup, Philly and Boston. This one's interesting to see how it goes because Ben Simmons out with the Sixers. Joel Embiid, he had a little injury scare. But it's just like, Boston, Jason Tatum is coming to his own. If I had to go a route, I got Boston in 6. That's because I think Simmons being out it hurts Philly a lot. Al Horford, he's kind of in the same boat as Paul Millsap. This kind of, I don't want to say out there, but they trench on that territory. And, and for me, I just think that, and Joel injury, I think there's this factor in a lot of things. But I got Boston in 6. What about you?
Well, I don't see the 76ers having any chance at all, to be honest. I mean, for me, the biggest X factor in this is going to be Kemba Walker.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be the person that plays a huge part. To me, I think that he is going to his minutes is going to go up, and he's going to be the person that plays a huge part. I definitely think that the fact that Ben Simmons is not there, that's going to just drops the chances. Joel Embiid can't do it on his own.
Oh no.
So it's going to be pretty tough for them when it comes to that aspect. So I have Celtics I have them in 5. I don't see. I mean, Tobias is going to play a huge part, but the Celtics are a team that have many pieces. Anybody can shoot like crazy on their team, so expect for Jason Tatum to try to catch fire quick. And Gordon Hayward, I think he's going to have a hell of a series as well. But I do think that we see Kemba Walker like that we've seen him like all year long.
Yeah, and for the Celtics, Kemba Walker, he's an interesting case because we talked about this in the past couple of weeks. Like his minutes haven't been up to par for like regular starting point guards, and with Simmons being out and Philly don't have that backup point guard, behind Simmons, I think Kemba got to see that and take advantage of that for them to kind of get away from this Sixers team quickly. If Kemba shows up, balls out along with Tatum, Gordon Hayward does his thing along with Jaylen Brown, and Marcus Morris give you a nice, good couple games. Like I said, they can win this in 5. Like I said, I think it's stretched out to 6. But like you said, if everybody's clicking right there, trying to get rid of Philly, take advantage of the injuries, 5 games or 6 at the most.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. It's definitely not going to 7.
Oh no.
I would say it's a stretch at 6, but I mean, unless Alec Burks shows he's like one of the better players in the league, and Korkmaz does a lot of things, but I don't see them getting more than 2 games.
I agree with you there. I think it goes to 7 unless if it goes to 7, then Jason Tatum, Kemba Walker ain't playing up to snuff for the Celtics.
Nope.
But another interesting matchup in this first round, Miami and Indiana. You got a TJ Warren that's probably greatly benefited from the bubble. It's been a scoring machine since he has been in Orlando. And, with Sabonis out, he has carried more of the scoring load for this team. On the other side, D-Lock, you got one Jimmy Butler. A Jimmy Butler that don't like Mr. TJ Warren. In which I'm surprised at Mr.
You really don't.
I'm Mr. Jimmy Butler that I'm surprised has not run up on TJ Warren in this bubble. How you see this series shaking out in your eyes?
Well, I think that Sabonis is a missing piece that we're going to see with this, with the Pacers. Bam is going to go crazy. Like, he's literally going to go crazy against that team. Like, it's the same. Miles Turner does the same thing that Brook Lopez did. He stands at the free throw line. He gets blocks, but he stands at the free throw line a lot. So you're going to see Bam get anything that he wants.
Yeah.
Now, like I said, that's going to show the fact that Sabonis is a key piece that they need that's not there. Boy, I cannot wait to see this matchup between TJ Warren and Jimmy Butler. I don't know. I don't know how many games it would be until we actually see these guys go at it. Because I think at some point we will. This is a tough series to pick because I know that the Pacers have a great defense. So did the Heat. Kendrick Nunn, Goran Dragic, if they can, be who they are and be healthy. They got Duncan Robinson, Tyler Hero off the bench. They're pretty deep, man. Like, they're pretty solid, but also then you got Brogdon, you got Oladipo, Sumner, you got Justin Holiday and Holiday. So you got a lot of guards as well. I think this goes to 7. And the reason why, it's hard. These teams match up against each other very well. What's going to happen is I think that the younger guys on both teams are going to affect each team. I think the fact that Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson, I think they may affect, the Heat throughout the series. I think that the fact that they're a lot younger, I just feel like it could be a kind of a little shock to them. But Jimmy Butler is a great leader, so I think he's going to give them a good impact. But this is the one I still have to think about. I like the Heat in 7. And the reason why is just because I think that Spoelstra's already been there. Bam is just an underrated player as well. I don't think anybody's going to stop him. And their defense is vicious. I mean, before we were seeing TJ Warren have these incredible games. And then he went to Miami, I believe it was a couple of days ago, and he just disappeared. Like, just was nowhere to be seen. I don't know if it was because he was playing against Jimmy Butler, he got in his head or whatever. But it's just like, we didn't see the TJ Warren that we've been seeing all through the bubble. So, hell, I believe before that he played against his former team, the Suns, and he lit them up. Then he went to Miami, and it's just like, where is this guy? So, I like the Heat in 7. I think that the Pacers are just that defensive mindset that Sabonis has is going to hurt them. I think that the bigger factor is the fact that Bam just goes off. I think he goes crazy.
I think, the key matchup is the Warren and Butler matchup. And this Jimmy has a hold on this dude because, like you mentioned, this dude was going off for multiple games, and then next thing you know, you play against Miami, and then you score pretty well in the first half, and in the second half, you just like disappear. And you hope, that, it's not a confidence shaker because, you need all TJ Warren's points to beat this Miami team. If you get solid performances from Malcolm Brogdon and, the Holiday brothers and Miles Turner, decides to show up and play, excellent. But you're going to need TJ Warren to be that guy for your team.
Yeah, consistently.
You can't, and for him, you can't have an off night against this Heat team, especially with Jimmy Butler. Kind of want to like prove something against you.
Yeah.
So for me, to the series, I got Miami in 6. I think if Sabonis was playing, I probably would change my prediction to the Pacers. But, with him not there, the Jimmy Butler factor for Miami, and then, the guard play with Nunn, Dragic, Hero and Robinson, and then, the leadership of Andre Iguodala in the fold, I think there'll be a little much for the Pacers to overcome.
Yeah, I agree on that. I mean, the defense is there. And then don't forget about Jay Crowder as well. Like,
Yeah.
I know we'll talk about it later on at time, maybe next week, probably touch on it more. But I think that the Heat are the team in the East that can challenge the Bucks. That's what I believe. Out of all teams, I think that now I believe right now my early prediction is it's going to be the Bucks against the Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals.
You talking about for next season?
No, I'm talking about this season.
Well, the Heat and Pacers are 4 and 5 seed.
Oh yeah, no, I'm saying the Heat and the Bucks.
Oh, Heat and the Bucks.
Yeah, I think they're gonna meet up, but I think that's the team that's gonna push the Bucks to 7.
Interesting. So you thinking between Miami and Milwaukee, they come out the East?
Yeah, I like Celtics are solid. I like what the Heat are doing, and looking at their rotation and how they got these guys in. They got Kelly Olynyk coming off the bench with Jake Crowder starting. They can give the Bucks a lot of problems. So if you're giving the Bucks, who are their roster is filled with guys that can go off at any point in my mind, I see them pushing them to I see this team to be the one that can possibly go to the NBA Finals. And Jimmy Butler is a dog too.
Yeah.
So if he catches fire and he motivates that team with Iggy too, who's already had the NBA Finals, experience, man, you're looking at Pat Riley has did a hell of a job over there.
Yeah, and for Miami, can Jimmy Butler put those pieces together and kind of lead this team, past Indiana? Don't let the TJ Warren stuff get into his head, and then carry that momentum to a Milwaukee team that can go either way depending on matchups. But we'll get there when we get there. But before we go, D-Lock, New Orleans and Chicago recently let go their coaches. Chicago was kind of surprising because they kind of said they want to keep I forgot the dude's name. I had it at the top of my brain. Jim Rowland. They thought about keeping him, but decided to let him go to start anew. New Orleans let go Alvin Gentry after his 5 years of service. Who do you see? Well, I'll say this. Who do you see potential coaching candidates go after more? Chicago or New Orleans?
It has to be New Orleans. There's too many pieces over there. That's the team that you're probably going to want to play or you're going to want to coach with the young talent. To be honest, dude, like Gentry, I think he was screwed once Dale Demps got fired. Demps was supposed to take that trade a while back, and he didn't take it. Therefore, he's costing everybody below him a chance to lose their job. I mean, obviously, you hire a new general manager or somebody new in the front office, they're going to want their own coach, which is understandable. There's nothing wrong with that. So it seems like it was either, get to the playoffs this year or you're fired. And that's essentially what happened. But with B.I. as one of the most improved players, Zion, Derrick Favors, Jackson Hayes, all these guys, this is the team that you want to coach. Now, I believe that I don't know how long Drew Holiday is there. I think there's a possibility that he gets traded because there's just so many pieces over there that whoever this new coach is, he's going to have a future. And Zoe, B.I., and Zion. And I don't see Drew Holiday as being there with that group for long. So Jackson Hayes is a nice piece too. I'm pretty sure you've seen him a couple of times. He was a shocker this year for me. I think it was one player that they stole. So that is the job that I would want to go for if I was coaching. So Mark Jackson, if you're trying to come back, I think that's a job you need to try to go after and get. Chicago, not yet. I see kind of what they're doing a little bit, but there's just a little bit of inconsistency there, with a few players that they have. Here or in New Orleans, you have players that are just getting here, like they're just getting here. So this foundation has just started. So why not try for that job?
Let's see. In my eyes, I look at Chicago here in a sec. Like, you got some decent pieces, but a lot of question marks. Wendell Carter and Laurie Marketing, they show some promise, but they've been injured in their young careers. Zach LaVine, has bounced back greatly from his torn ACL, but he's not like a number one dude. Kobe Wright,
No, I like him.
I like him too. And Jim Brolin finally figured out to put him in the starting lineup.
Too late.
And, you saw the benefits of him being in the starting lineup. But with Chicago, I don't know which direction they're going to go. I don't, depending on who the coach is, will they take a gamble on like a Mark Jackson, who should be in candidate for some of these positions, but somehow never don't get chosen? You can see some of these retreaded coaches getting hired, like a Tom Thibodeau, and Jackson not even being considered. On the New Orleans side of things, for me, I don't know how the Zion situation was handled. I don't know if the front office left it to Alvin Gentry to monitor his minutes or the training staff did. But it seemed like a whole bunch of questions there is like they need to be answered. Like, who was holding him back for playing multiple minutes in this bubble? Because you had a chance to make the playoffs and you didn't play arguably your best player, and you kind of screwed the pooch on that, in my eyes. Was it a Gentry decision with these minutes restrictions, or was it front office and David Griffith?
Yeah.
So, whoever gets the New Orleans job, you'll get Zion another all season and stuff like that. But next year at the gate, you gotta be up and rolling. No more restrictions. You have 4 months off from March to now. And you have another few months off. It's go time next year. Whoever gets that position.
Yeah, right now you gotta have everything scenario. You gotta have everything ready for winning. And when you make a pick like grabbing Zion, you're expecting to be great now. That's what the expectations are. So like I said, the fact that Dale Demps didn't take that trade, Gentry should have known what was going to happen next. So anytime any coach or anytime, like I said earlier, anytime a front office anytime there's somebody new in the front office, they want their guy at the helm or the coach. So, and that's with any sport. So, whoever comes in, there is high expectations, and they have to be ready for it, which is not a bad thing, but the pressure is on. My thing is with this, and I hope that they do this, is understanding that it's going to take time to build greatness with whatever coach that you get. That's the problem that the Magic have, is they don't understand that it seems like it, that it's going to take time to build the greatness with the players and the coaches that you get, right? The Magic are turning into a team that fires a coach every couple of years. Hopefully that doesn't happen with the Pelicans, because all you're going to do is screw up Zion's career.
I definitely agree. And it'd be real interesting to see who gets the hire. Do both of these teams go with like a experienced coach, or do they plug somebody, assistant, that's going to be a fresh face in the league? So, not bad places to go to kind of build up a roster. I think we both agree that New Orleans will be the better situation because of the players. What do you think about the story coming out, like with Lonzo being checked out in the bubble? You think it's small thing, no big deal, small thing, or big deal?
That's huge, bro. That's really huge. Like, man, dude, I ain't gonna lie. If I was a coach and I heard this, dude, I'm putting you on trade block. Because I don't need anybody on the team knowing how much pressure is on to winning. Gentry just got fired, man. Think about that. Yeah. Gentry just got fired. So, however Lonzo felt played a huge part. Now, I'm not sure, like I said, this is reports, so we don't know how, true this is. But if this really was the case, I would have to, as a coach, I would have to, put him out there and see what I can get for him, because you're affecting everything that happens, with my team. Now, I ain't gonna lie, like, did we even see Lonzo do anything in the bubble?
Not really.
We did it. So, to me, it could be it could be facts to that. So to me, that's big news, especially when this is a pick that you are invested in and you traded for. So if you're checked out, you're not too excited to come back. I don't care what his dad says about how great of a player he can be. If you're not mentally there, that's hurting the possibilities of being great. And you're affecting everybody's job under, because that's with any job. You have an employee below you that doesn't feel like coming into work, or they don't feel like doing anything, and they're not motivated, and they're hurting your job. Why would you keep them?
Very good point. And, I'll finish this off. Alvin Gentry kind of, I would say, went to loves Lonzo and loved having him there. But, I think Lonzo being traded away from the Lakers kind of deflated him. But he's got to look into this situation. You got a nice young player with you in Zion. You got to take advantage of that, in my eyes. Okay, yeah, things the Lakers didn't work out, so what? But you got a chance with this young dude here to do something. Can go a long way. But we'll see how things, shake out with, with both of those coach openings. But, ladies and gentlemen, this has been our show tonight. Thank you for tuning in. I know the chat didn't work tonight. For some reason or another, they couldn't chime in the chat tonight, D-Lock. So that's why,
That's why I ain't hear nobody get mad or nobody say anything about me picking the Mavs.
Yeah.
Or Mavs going to Game 7.
Yeah.
So people probably on to say something, but it just wasn't working in their favor today.
Nobody. It's pretty lonely in the chat. So hopefully things get back up and rolling for next week. Before we go, please do check out the Sports Brunch with Seth Eves, and Matthew Owens at 8 Pacific, 11 Eastern, 10 Central. So please do check out that. But before that, Check out the defining moment with Larry B. That'll be 10 Eastern, 9 Central, 7 a.m. Pacific time. So if you're on the West Coast, you better get your behinds up. And I know you're going to work. You'll be sitting in traffic anyway, so you got time to listen to Mr. Larry B. Then to the afternoon, 8 o'clock Eastern, Wine About Sports with Mike Pat. I'm pretty sure, with Al Smith coming back in the fold, I'm pretty sure we'll talk about that on tomorrow's show. Then to cap it off for tomorrow, the Unfiltered Truth with Phil Jones, Phil Robinson. The Raiders are back in camp. So I'm pretty sure the guys will be discussing that. D-Lock, how can the people find you on social media?
You guys definitely can find me at Black-813. That is for Twitter and Instagram. Also check out my YouTube channel, Dentarius Lock. NFL season is around the corner, so I will be talking about my Bucks. There's already a few questions already. Expectations are high. So I definitely will be high on that and be breaking that down. We'll touch on the Orlando Magic as well. I mean, right now, like I said, my team's front office just don't care about winning. It seems like maybe it's a Florida thing. Who knows? But guys, check me out there. Let them know where they can find you.
You can follow me on Twitter at Spawn4288. If you're not following us on Twitter at Fast Break, please do. With the playoffs kicking off tomorrow at 1:30 Eastern, we'll be tweeting live from there. Also, you can find me on the Crooks Process on Facebook and Instagram. That's my other podcast that I do. My next episode will probably be about the college football situation and everything going down. And, I usually do a top 25 to start the season, but with things shaking up as it is, I may have to.
I don't know what's going to happen.
I may have to switch it up for this season. But do look out for that coming down the pike. Thank you for listening in tonight. I know the chat didn't work tonight. Hopefully things will get back and rolling. But till next time, people, we'll talk to y'all next week. We're out.
Howdy.